The President Tinubu's poverty reduction plan is our focus, and let's find out how far it's gone, with many Nigerians suffering multidimensional poverty in spite of the government's numerous interventions. I'm delighted to have the Minister of State for Agriculture and former Senate Deputy Chief Whip, also former spokesperson in the Senate, 8th Senate, Senator Sabi. He joins us on Arise Prime Time. Glad to have you join us on Arise Prime Time.
Thank you very much, my brother.
All right,
Nice
let's start with the PMS. Maybe you'll explain what it means. How is this going to, one, develop the agri sector, improve performance, and enhance delivery?
Well, thank you very much. Like you rightly noted in your earlier report, definitely the agricultural sector has a lot of work that are ongoing. And this work are anchored on the vision of our President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whose renewed hope agenda has food security as a very, very strong focal area of concern. And you will recall that the President was so concerned with the state of food insecurity that he had to declare a state of emergency in 2023. Now, arising from all of this, of course, we've gotten down to work. But in everything, it's a matter of input, output. Whatever effort you put in, resources you put in, you want to get an output. And for the agricultural sector, whatever we do, Nigerians want to see food.
Yep.
So this is not lost on us. And we are aware that we have to work around the clock to make sure that food is available to Nigerians. Now, when you look at the food security index, we knew Nigeria was not doing well. And the President has urged us to do things, to turn things around. Now, one of the aspects of food security, or when you look at food security, you are dealing with certain key indicators or parameters. You are talking about, is food available? And if it's available, is it accessible? Is it affordable? And is it something that is in the right nutritional content? So we're talking about affordability, availability, affordability, accessibility, and of course, right nutritional content. So we have realized that based on certain challenges, the climate change, remember there was flooding sometimes in 2022, there are also issues around the insecurity where certain areas of farm activities have reduced. So we knew we had to do something different. So one of the things we have done different is to go back into dry season farming to complement wet season farming. So we are now having a back-to-back farming cycle. Immediately we are done with rainy season, we begin to prepare to go into dry season. Right now as we speak, there are a lot of activities out there in the field with respect to dry season farming. So when you talk about performance, performance is a measure of whatever input you have put in vis-a-vis the output, whether it is high or low or within what you are expecting. So the PMS you talked about is actually an initiative of the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation that all ministries, MDAs, that are supporting implementation of government programs must design a system to measure the performance of their staff in terms of delivery of most of these policy programs and initiatives of government. So that of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture was launched to bring our staff to realize that when we say we want to do increased production of certain commodities, there are activities that have to happen. And in the case of agriculture, agriculture is time-bound, so you don't have time, and you will not tolerate a situation where what needs to be done is not done at the right time, because it means you will not get the right result. So that is why we had the PMS. But coming back to the main policy programs of government, we knew from the outset that there are key areas we need to tackle. We are looking at the low productivity arising from low mechanization by our farmers. So we have 4 programs from the stable of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all targeting how we can increase the productivity of Nigerian farmers using agricultural mechanization. We also have the aspect of seed. we know we need to get improved seed for our farmers. So we have also revived and revamped our seed production system, because every country must have a seed production system where you are able to produce high yielding, disease resistant, and short duration because of the climate change. You are no longer having rainfall for 4 months, 6 months running. So you would like to have, and even if you have for 6 months, it's not a bad idea for you to have a crop that can produce in 2 months or 3 months, so that you can have 2 cycles or 3 cycles. So you need to have the seed that can relate to that. And then the, what do they call it, flood resistant also, because like when you look at rice, most rice are planted in swampy areas. So there are varieties now that even if there is flood, they will resist that flood, and when the flood subsides, they will still be able to measure up. So all of this has to do with the type of seed you are targeting for your farmers, and they must be improved, high yielding. Okay, so all of these things also, we have them through our National Seed Council, the Research Institute, where we have revived what we call the seed planning system. That is ongoing. And the good news here is that we also have another evaluation system, what we call the annual performance evaluation of our farming system. This is done by the National Agricultural Extension Research Liaison Services, that is based in Ahmadu Bello University. They've given us report for 2024 wet season. They are currently working on the 2024-2025 dry season. In that, they reported up to 65% farmers acknowledging that they are now having access to improved seeds which they are using. But there are still challenges, and we are taking them as they come.
All right, good.
So this, there are so much, yeah. But I think just to
start off, then we'll start breaking them down. Well, like you said, the most important thing is for people to see food there, accessibility, and affordability. Yeah. And that's why out there, like we all know, Nigerians are experiencing real hardship and high cost of prices, yeah. You know, and living standards now, as it were. So how would you improve food distribution systems?
All right. You know? Now, there's what we call food system transformation. Food system transformation here is looking at, first, the diversity of foods that we have and the kind of value you are going to add to those food, either processed, semi-processed, or in terms of the storage, where you are able to increase the storage capacity or storage, shelf life. So for us, what we are doing here is that first we recognized there are crops that are planted across the entire, agroecology of the country. And here you are talking about rice, is a major crop. You are talking about maize, is a major crop. You are talking about beans, is something planted all over. And then you have others that are not necessarily planted all over, but they are planted across up to 70 to 80% of the country. Here you are talking about things like sorghum, and then you are also talking about millet. And all of these have various applications and uses, both industrial and domestic, in terms of our food system. And so we are looking at all of this as main priority when it comes to food security crop. So that is one strategy. The other strategy is the fact that we are aware agriculture has a lot of potential for job creation and, generating income for farm families. So here we're talking about cash crops. So here we're looking at things like groundnut, we're looking at things like soybeans, okay? And in some instances also even beans itself, cowpea, is also a cash crop. So we have programs that is now focusing on that. Now, we also realize agriculture has a lot of contribution to make in foreign exchange earning. Yep. And to that extent, we have focus on export commodities. And here we are looking at cocoa, we are looking at sesame, we are looking at soybean, and others like cotton and all the other ones that are traditional, even oil palm.
Okay, now you've talked about foreign exchange. AFDB President Akinwumi Adesina said that he actually frowns at importation of food.
Yeah.
This, he says, will not solve the country's food crisis. That's one. Two, it will do damage to the nation's agriculture. So he preferred solutions. He says government should focus more on production of more food, create jobs, and then it plays down on foreign exchange spending. Is government heeding Akinwumi's advice?
Everything I've said to you is definitely focusing first. Our number one strategy is production, ramping up production. That's why we said we can no longer depend on rainy season.
Yeah.
March or April, May, till sometimes October, 6 months, and then the next 6 months we go to sleep. I've told you here, and Nigerians should know that we have started the process. And when you start something, it will take time before you are able to expand. But right now we have started, and I want to assure you that out in the field, there are a lot of farming activities going on right from November when we launch the dry season farming in Cross River State. Because Cross River State, for the wheat, Cross River State is joining the wheat producing state in Obudu area. And so we've done that to encourage all the pockets of areas where we're going to be able to get production. And I think that activity is right there out in the field. We have that of rice, which is also a very common thing in most of our irrigation centers, and that is ongoing. So definitely that is the strategy.
Yeah,
you need to produce. When you produce, then you are able to meet your local demand. And it is when you meet your local demand, the need for you to import will no longer be there.
Yeah, so along those lines, what are you doing just along the lines of making sure that Nigeria has food in and out of season?
Yeah.
We should be able to achieve this. So you don't talk about oranges, the season for oranges is gone, so we can't have oranges. So what are you doing about storage, credit facilities for farmers, and then transportation, how they move their goods?
Very good. Now, let me say this. We are looking at the growth enhancers and enablers. And when you say post-harvest, right from on-farm, we know there are challenges. A situation where somebody has 10 hectares and has to use sickle, maybe for rice, for example, to continue to cut and then to mechanical. I mean, what do they call it? Manual.
Manual.
It's not, there's no way there won't be losses. So what we have done is that we realize we need harvesters, we need things that will enhance the processing of these commodities, and it's part of the mechanization program that I've told you about, which, all things being equal, I want to believe before this year's rainy season, 2025, we will have traction, because right now we're already beginning to receive delivery of the various tractors and implements and all the other equipment for this purpose. I don't have the figures now, so don't even ask me. Because right now I don't have the figures, so I can't be telling you. I'm on air, I know, but right now it is taking place. That I can assure you is taking place. But we will be telling you exactly what the situation is when we get to the point in which we have done the assessment, done all the receivership and everything, then we'll be able to speak to Nigerians about that. But the point I'm saying here is that, yes, we must reduce post-harvest losses. In fact, you will recall President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in one function said he has seen reports indicating that up to 70% losses, which is unacceptable. And that is true. So we are doing things along that line. And one of the initiatives we have brought about in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is to introduce what we call Post-Harvest Connect. The Post-Harvest Connect event started last year. It also took place, it started in 2023. We had another edition last year, and this year we're also going to have another edition. What is this all about? To bring all the players, stakeholders in the ecosystem of post-harvest together so that we can see what we need, what is desirable, what is appropriate for our farmers, and encourage the development and availability of all of these facilities. Because while government will have intervention, private sectors are also having intervention, and they should be able to get the right, appropriate, and cost-effective solution that will help them to achieve post-harvest services. So we are doing that. And let me say this very clearly. We realize also the smallholder farmers, they have to be supported with a lot of threshing machines, a lot of machines that they are going to use to do harvesting, not just the big ones. So we are having all from the big, the medium, and then to the small. Where small farmers will be able to handle their equipment, do their harvesting, and process it within a very short time.
I don't know whether you talked about storage.
Yes, in terms of storage, there are technologies that are being brought, either in terms of what we call the hermetic bags, where you can open it, and when you store and seal it, no air, you are able to keep it, prolonging the storage life. Now, we are also encouraging state governments, because you see, our national strategy says we should have strategic reserve. That's at the national level. When things are bad, you rush there. But at the state level, they are supposed to have what we call bulk storage. And I think many state governors have started doing that. I can speak about Niger State.
Okay.
The governor, Farmer Umaru Bago, has already gone ahead to identify all available and abandoned warehouses that are used for the bulk storage, and he has started massive rehabilitation, because, you know, the Niger Foods program he is anchoring, they have done their harvest, and that is where they're keeping the storage. Now, the idea, let me land here.
Okay.
The idea here is that when you have bulk storage, you are able to cushion your local market. It is when things get out of hand that you come to the buffer stock. Now, the local governments also are expected to encourage farmers to do both on-farm storage and the ones they do at the family level. But you know, these days, because of so many challenges, at the farm level, farmers are not even keeping. They try to bring their products home. So here, we're recognizing that they need certain solutions, and that is where some of these bags, some of these containers that have been designed to keep air out, so that whatever pest is inside is not able to survive, and their product is able to stay longer. So all of these things are available, and we are also promoting it by making it available to some farmer groups.
Now, the president said, before I ask some of these other questions, the president said food security not negotiable, but then the question of insecurity, farmers not being able to go to the farm.
A lot of farmers have returned back to farm. I'm from the field.
Does that mean
I agree, and I'm not challenging that yes, there are challenges. And I think even the president has acknowledged that. But reality is the fact that a lot of things have changed. Just recently, Biningwari area has been so notorious to the extent that even to travel from Kaduna to Biningwari is like going to hell. Or from Niger end coming to Biningwari. The markets have been closed for more than a decade. They've just been opened. Activities have gone. And that is one of the most notorious areas of insecurity. This covers up to Giwa local government, all in Kaduna State. So there is some achievement, there is some improvement. And I think we should learn to acknowledge and appreciate little progress and gains. That way we'll be able to consolidate. And I want to assure you that the president, like he has said, is not just saying that food security is non-negotiable. He has said it several times. I want a Nigeria where no one goes to bed hungry. And that's what we are working for. Because if food is available, if food is accessible, if it is affordable, everybody will be able to take, go to bed fully, with full belly.
That's what Nigerians are praying for.
And that's what we are working for.
That's why they're crying.
No, that's what we are working for. The crying, definitely, when we came on board, there is cry, but the tears have started drying up because of improvement across the various areas we are working. Even the prices, which have been so massively reported, have come down. So we are aware of the challenges. You see, agriculture is not a place where I will say we should play politics. Agriculture is a place where we should work to make sure our citizens are able to guarantee that they can feed themselves. That is the dignity every Nigerian deserves. And that is why in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, along with my brother and colleague, Senator Abubakar Kyari, we are working to ensure that we deliver on this mandate. Now, let me say this. If you look at the resources in this country, and if you look at the potentials in this country, you will know that it is something we can do. And we are taking it one step at a time. And I want to tell you also that unlike before, where everything was just left for the federal, we have been able to create a conversation with the states. And a lot of the states have taken the challenge up, and they are doing the needful in terms of ensuring that we are able to achieve something. Just yesterday, we did, what did they call it? We started the 8th mission for the implementation of the Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing.
That's actually what I was going to ask you
Just
about
yesterday.
now. The RAP,
RAMP.
you call it, yes.
Just yesterday. And the Federal Executive Council also yesterday approved the further scale-up of RAMP, where all the states are going to be participating. And what is RAMP supposed to do? It's supposed to increase the productivity of our Nigerian farmers, because one of the challenges we faced is that you produce in very remote rural areas to evacuate bad roads, to evacuate no bridges, to evacuate there are floods. So all of these things have now been taken into consideration, and we know for sure that when you have good rural access, roads, honestly, evacuation of agricultural commodities becomes much easier and cheaper. Remember, farmers are not stupid. They are also economists. And even the marketers are not stupid. They are economists. When they spend a particular amount to go and bring that produce,
they'll put it in their
pockets. The consumer will have to absorb the cost. And that is what we are also looking at. But beyond that also, even the storage. Because if there is storage, then farmers can do guided release.
Yeah.
Without having to want to release everything. This time around, price crashes. Next time is not available and prices go to the roof. So that balancing act, we are aware, and we are doing everything we can along with other stakeholders to see that we continue to engage and continue to solve the problems as they arise.
I can't let you go without talking about, you were the spokesman of the 8th Senate, Chief Whip of the Deputy Chief Whip of the 9th Senate.
Yeah.
How has it been the transition from the legislature to the executive? What's different? And then maybe you just answer two of them together. The talk in some quarters that the legislature seem to be kowtowing to everything the executive is doing. They don't seem to be checking the executive anymore. They're like a rubber stamp.
Well, the story of the legislature being the rubber stamp is the best story everybody has to tell. It's been there. Even when I was spokesman, everybody has always been saying we are rubber stamp. So that is something people find very cheap and easy to say. But let me say this. Yes, it's cheap and easy to say. But let me say this. When you say transition, I only came back home.
Meaning?
I started my career in the executive. Spent 20 years before going into the National Assembly. So I'm back home. And thanks to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I'm part of his team, contributing to achieve his renewed hope agenda of food security, economic growth and job creation, inclusivity of youth and women, access to capital, because we are reforming the Bank of Agriculture. And like my brother and colleague said, very soon, in this quarter, we are hoping the blueprint for the turnaround of the Bank of Agriculture will be unveiled to Nigerians. So we are working.
Okay.
And
so
yes.
So we can say the transition was smooth.
Yes, no, it's smooth.
We'll leave
and
it there.
I give glory
but
to
more
God.
challenges, like he said.
Yes, of course, more work to be done.
All right.
And but most importantly, Nigerians should stop talking about this rubber stamp thing. Because whatever goes to the National Assembly, when you change 1, 2, 3 things, you cannot claim there is a rubber stamp. And there's nothing that goes there that will not receive changes here and there. It is their job to do the needful. And if the executive brought things that are very apt, they are bound to say, yes, it is apt. Let it go. For the what? Interest of good governance and the progress of Nigeria.
We'll leave it here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sabi Abdullahi, Minister of State for Agriculture, for being on Arise Prime Time.